I came back from a business trip to discover that my mountain estate had been wiped off the map by an HOA while I was gone. They claimed it was because I hadn't paid their fines. The problem: I don't belong to their HOA at all. When I pulled up the mountain road, there was nothing left, just smoking debris where my $3 million home once stood. They hadn't simply torn down a building. They obliterated the stone fireplace where my late wife's ashes were laid to rest. The HOA president believed she was throwing her weight around against some random homeowner who ignored her notices. What she didn't realize was exactly who she had chosen to go to war with. How far would you go if everything you loved was destroyed by someone abusing fake authority? Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, because this story of justice is unforgettable. The drive up the mountain had always been my favorite part of coming home. After 2 weeks overseas in Norway negotiating trade agreements under an alias, all I wanted was silence and solitude. Pine and coldstone filled the cab of my truck as the crisp Colorado air rushed through the open window. It was early October. One of those mornings so clear it makes you feel alone in the world. I passed through my steel gate, solid and simple, the solar keypad glowing green. Everything looked normal. The gravel road wound upward through golden aspens. I had built that road myself 12 years earlier, calculated the grade, managed the drainage, graded every inch with a rented bobcat until it was flawless. I knew this land intimately, where the deer slept, which trees the hawks favored. This wasn't just property. It was sanctuary, a refuge my wife Sarah and I had built together before cancer took her. I rounded the last bend where the trees always parted just enough to reveal the house. I was already imagining it: the Douglas fir logs, the riverstone chimney, the wide deck overlooking the valley. I could practically taste the coffee I planned to make, but there was nothing there. I stopped the truck. The engine idled in a silence that felt wrong. My mind refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. Where my home should have stood was a raw, brown wound carved into the mountainside. Splintered wood, crushed stone, twisted metal shoved into chaotic piles. Smoke curled from what remained of the main support beam. This wasn't damage. It was total eradication. My chest didn't race. It froze, heavy, cold. A fire leaves bones a charred shell. This was different. This was deliberate, calculated, a full demolition. I stepped out, boots crunching on gravel. The air reeked of diesel, soot, and freshly turned earth. Massive excavator tracks cut through my lawn, leading straight down the driveway. I followed them with my eyes and saw the machine parked partially hidden behind pine trees. Nearby sat a rented flatbed truck. On its door was a magnetic sign: Aspen Creek, HOA, Community Compliance. Something sharp burned in my gut. I forced it down. Anger without facts is useless. I'm an engineer, a governor. I solve problems with evidence. I pulled out my phone. The property was protected by a closed-circuit system. I designed myself 6 solar-powered HD cameras, each with independent cellular uploads to an encrypted server. No house power, no Wi-Fi required. I searched my inbox for alerts. They were all there. Motion detected. Driveway camera. Front porch. The first was timestamped 3 days earlier. I opened it. A white work truck sat at my gate. A man in a fluorescent vest taped an orange notice to the post. Official looking. Aggressive. An hour later, another alert. A lowboy trailer hauling a Komatsu. Excavator grinding its way up my clearly marked private driveway. The next morning, 8 o'clock, M5 men in hard hats stood around drinking coffee, laughing. Just another job to them. The front door camera captured audio. "You sure about this?" one asked. "Thing looks like a fortress." Quaff. Reply. "Got the paperwork. Emergency compliance order. County signed. HOA says it's abandoned and unsafe." He waved a clipboard. A lie. My house was stronger than the mountain beneath it. I supervised every beam, every joint, every stone. I watched in silent fury as the excavator ripped through the bay window where Sarah used to read. The roof collapsed. The stone fireplace, the heart of our home, was crushed into rubble. That was where I'd buried her ashes. Now they were scattered in the dirt. The crew were just tools. The real enemy was the person holding the clipboard. Aspen Creek HOA. I knew them. A petty kingdom ruled by a woman named Brenda Winters. She'd mailed me passive-aggressive letters about my flagpole, my roof colored, despite my house being invisible from her subdivision. I ignored them, because the truth, the one that turned tragedy into a felony, was locked in a safe. Downtown, my deed, plat maps, legal filings, proving my land was never part of their HOA. I never signed their bylaws, never agreed to their rules, never owed them a cent. They had no authority, no jurisdiction. They trespassed, and they destroyed my life. I stood beneath the clear blue sky and made a promise to Sarah. I don't make threats. I build cases, and this one would bury their little empire to bedrock. I didn't call the police. I didn't call a lawyer. Shock leads to bad decisions. I drove straight to the Jefferson County Recorder of Deeds. Ownership lives there, inside. Judy, the clerk I knew from my commissioner days, helped me pull the plat maps and HOA incorporation records. There it was. My parcel was legally recorded June 4th, 2010. Aspen Creek HOA. Incorporated December 18th, 2011. My land existed a year and a half before their HOA did. They couldn't touch me. I photographed everything. The lie was exposed at the mailbox cluster. I found their intimidation letter-tick paper, red warnings, fake authority, $11,820 in fabricated fines, ghost debt. That night, in my storage unit, I laid out every document, the deed, the permits, the fire marshal approval, receipts, facts, nails in a coffin. Brenda had tried to annex what she couldn't control. She underestimated me. The HOA meeting was held in a soulless clubhouse. Folding chairs, stale coffee, clipboard tyranny. I sat quietly in the back. Brenda presided, like a queen, over nonsense rules. Then she bragged. We resolved the eyesore up the hill, she announced. Declared abandoned. Demolition completed. Applause. That was my cue. I stood. My name is Redmond Kane, I said calmly. I owned that house. Gasps. I never joined your HOA, and you destroyed property you had no authority over. Silence. Brenda snapped back, but behind her, I saw the forged county notice on the bulletin board. I photographed. They recorded her voice, collected receipts, and walked out. From there, everything fell apart fast. Plat affidavits, digital forensics proving Brenda created the forged order herself, title reports showing 0 liens, engineering reports revealing she destabilized the hillside and endangered her own community, one anonymous email to local reporters, drone footage, truth, at the emergency meeting. I laid out every receipt. Then I dropped the final one. I'm the sitting governor of this state. The room collapsed. Resignations followed. Criminal charges followed. Court was clinical, precise, undeniable. $4.8 million judgment. Rebuild costs covered. Geological remediation ordered. Brenda was arrested. 1 year later, I stood on my new deck. Stronger foundation, reinforced beams, triple pane windows. The fireplace stood again. Sarah's plaque rested in stone. Peace restored. The HOA dissolved. Clipboard tyranny ended. And I learned something enduring. When someone destroys your home with fake power, you don't fight with rage. You fight with truth. They tore down my house, so I built something stronger.